Hello, welcome back to Finn vs. History. I'm here with Horatio Gould.
Hello.
And today we are talking about the First Crusade.
Yep. It's the first time we've gone outside of like the Cold War, outside of like 100 years ago.
It's the first time that it's called Finn vs. History. It's the first time that I'm entering this fight thinking, well, history's going to win this. I could not be less interested.
Yeah. Well, you lack a nosiness that I think I have. You're like, there's no point checking down there.
I just leave some rocks you should just leave unturned, I think.
And that's anything that's over 200 years old.
Yeah. Well, no.
What are you doing rooting around there?
Well, not only am I incredibly bored by this.
Yeah.
This is your mastermind topic, essentially, isn't it? This is you were gunning.
Yeah, I was gunning for it early
When
days.
I suggested doing a history podcast, you were like, we could do a podcast about the First Crusade.
First Crusade.
Every
First
week we
great.
could do another thing of the First Crusade. And I'm aware of Crusades, Richard the Lionheart.
Yeah.
That's vaguely exciting,
Sure.
but that's the third one.
Right.
So this is like...
But this is this is Godfather 1.
No, it's not. This is Phantom Menace. No. This is a prequel to the exciting stuff.
No.
This is... So, do you want to... Maybe we could start by you explaining why you've got such a raging lob on for the First Crusade.
Well, I love the Middle Ages in Europe anyway. Between the fall of Rome and the Renaissance is the funniest period in white people history, I think.
Right.
Because it's just when we're the thickest.
Yeah.
We forget a lot of stuff, and it's also because you can paint it with quite a broad brushstroke. Like, I like the Middle Ages because society sort of makes sense in a way. There's peasants.
Yeah.
There's a baron.
Yeah.
There's a knight. There's a castle.
Yeah.
There's a church. It's all quite simple.
Oh, so it's more from a kind of you find today quite hard to manage.
Yeah, I do.
Famously with your undiagnosed neurodivergence.
Yeah, it just made sense back in the day.
It's almost like in society in the Middle Ages, everyone's a chess piece.
Exactly.
And your movement is restricted.
Exactly.
So I'm a monk. I can only move in this way. I'm a knight. I go over here.
And then you go back to the Romans and it gets kind of complicated again. There's loads of multiple gods.
Love the Romans.
No, I like it. It's just not as funny to me.
Right,
I find this the funniest because Rome's kind of interesting, fascinating, and inspiring. Yeah. But this isn't inspiring.
No,
it's funny.
This is grey. In my head, the weather for 800 years was grey. Brilliant. People ate porridge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then
exactly.
Everything.
Never left your village.
Babies died.
Yeah.
So it's just, what are you having for breakfast? Porridge. Yeah. Oh, I'm pregnant. Good luck with that. Yeah. That's not going to end well.
Exactly. I was speaking with Paddy about how bad it is on Instagram, how many attractive women you see at once.
Yes.
Whereas back in this time, you wouldn't see any attractive women. Uh-huh. Maybe one would go through your village on a carriage at high speed. Yeah. That'd be like the princess. Uh-huh. That's the only time you'd ever see an attractive woman.
So everyone is fuck ugly.
You can't believe it.
Yeah.
You can't believe how ugly these people are.
So when do people become attractive?
I would say,
and this is
I think they used to be attractive.
Western Europe, because
I think the Romans, the Egyptians, Cleopatra, she was a bit of a babe.
Smoke show.
I think the Renaissance, they start...
That's why it's called the Renaissance.
Yeah.
These people start getting attractive again.
Yeah, exactly. The rebirth.
They start thinking, do you know what, should we try and stop being ugly for once?
Yeah, you can't believe it.
This is the 1090s.
1090s, the 90s.
So, the 90s. Yeah. Friends is on the TV. They come home from Middle Ages school, they watch Friends and then Scrubs.
It was a golden age, no social media.
Golden age television. Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, like skateboarding's big at the time.
Avril Lavigne. Texas are in the charts. Oh, you know what? It's growing on me.
The Berlin Wall doesn't exist at this point.
Berlin Wall's not.
It's down.
Exactly.
And 9/11 hasn't happened yet, so it's the 90s.
So Blair sweeps to power. It's the end of history. So this is the 1090s, not the 1990s. The 1090s. So this is after the Norman conquest of Britain.
Yes. Just quite recent. So 30 years ago.
Before Helen Keller was born.
Right.
If Helen Keller, to be honest though, I reckon she would have been missing out on less if she'd been born in the 1090s.
It wouldn't make a difference, I think.
Her life experience as the most notorious deaf, dumb, blind. Deaf, dumb, blind.
Yeah.
Is that everything she had? Mute.
I think she had Full House.
Full House. Yeah. Full House. Disabled bingo. Ding, ding, ding. Her life would not have been any different had she been born in the 1090s.
And she probably had the most... She'd probably been one of the most interesting people to speak to from this time period as
She would have had the most stories. So boring and grey is this time period that a woman who had literally never seen or heard or spoken at all in her life would be the most interesting person in the room.
And partly why I like the Middle Ages, because there's quite a lot of dark ages in human history where people are thick and stupid and live in villages, right?
Yeah.
But what's great about the Middle Ages is you still feel it now. Like there's still the Middle Ages. The shadow of it is still in this country. You still feel parts of it.
Yes, you travel outside the M25.
Do you know what I mean? But it's like recognizable. Like if you go back to like, I don't know, the Bronze Age, you can't really comprehend that. But when you hear about the Middle Ages, you can sort of see it in a lot of towns. Do you know what I mean?
I can't. To me, it's less vivid.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I think the sort of 16th century is where I just can't really imagine.
You can't get past it. Well, maybe this point of this podcast is trying to make you finally.
Yeah. I did. So in preparation for this, you sent me a 5-part audio documentary series, and I got up to about the middle of part 4, and I'll be completely honest. I fell asleep in every part. So it's just, and also what I've noticed is that the historians that talk about the First Crusade are the biggest dweebs you've ever. But the First Crusade, the Crusaders left from Constantinople. They got the biggest lisps. They've got the dweebiest voices. They're clearly the largest virgins of any historian. Historians of like Napoleonic era onwards, they're hot guys.
Really?
Yeah,
they're shaggers, right?
Yeah. It's the difference between Tom Holland.
There we go. That's exactly. This is what everyone looked like, and I love it.
It's the difference between Tom Holland and his brother.
Right. Okay,
Dominic Holland's got a fit haircut.
Does he?
Goes around in tanks.
Yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't like to be stuck with him at a barbecue.
No, I mean I wouldn't like to hang out with either of them, but I'm not going around to the Holland family.
I guess it's sort of tallest dwarf once again.
Yeah.
What I liked about the Crusades podcast is, do you know that scene in Phantom Menace when they're underwater and there's a big fish and then gets eaten by a bigger fish?
No.
And they say there's always a bigger fish.
I also fell asleep during the Phantom Menace. I should stress that.
But there's always a bigger fish. Right. That was and it's like there's always a more boring cunt is what I learned listening to the First Crusade. Because they kept bringing in experts and they were whinier and lazy and more specific. The more specific their expertise, the more they are like.
And then by the end, it's just. It is actually white noise that I can sleep to.
This is expert of just the year 1097.
He's also an expert in never getting his dick sucked. Literally never.
Yeah, he's got a doctorate.
He's got a doctorate in not getting laid. From Cambridge. In not getting laid.
If he got his dick sucking came, he would pulverise. He'd turn into dust. Exactly.
Well, he'd lose it. He'd have to hand in his dissertation.
Or lose his license.
He lose his academic license because he's done a postgrad.
You're selling classes on
for 10 years. He has not had any action at all.
Right, what do you think is happening in the world at the moment then? So it's the 1090s. How do you see it?
So the weather's grey.
Go on.
People are eating porridge.
Right.
On their birthday, maybe they eat the head of a pig.
Yeah.
Women having a really rough time. You could say that until roughly the 1980s, I think. But
unlike before when they're having a brilliant time.
They were bashing it. The 9th century was really the women's century.
Yeah.
No, women are essentially oxes that are allowed to live indoors.
Yeah.
So
wait, now what?
Sorry, I'm talking about nowadays. Sorry, in the 1090s.
We're talking about history.
Sorry.
Stop getting caught up on current affairs.
Sorry, my opinions are coming out again. Sorry. So
this is not Finn versus politics.
No, it's not. It's not Finn versus current affairs. Women are essentially oxen that live indoors. Anyway, back to the history. They're wearing aprons.
Yep.
And they are they're stirring big pots.
Yeah.
And they're always pregnant, but they're almost never breastfeeding because the babies are always dying.
Well, they finish giving birth by the age of 18, but they've had 7 kids.
And they then die at 21?
Yeah.
So part of the issue...
Forever 21.
Forever young. Part of the issue with this period is that
never old.
There's less jeopardy. When you hear someone died, you go, well, yeah. People basically died.
Yeah, there'll be a guy with a death cart, and you chuck your one of your 3 kids who died.
Yeah, exactly.
You chuck them on the cart. And then you chuck them a tuppence, maybe. Wouldn't it be a tuppence?
People, in one of the podcasts, they're talking about like, a teary goodbye to your family. It's like, that's just waking up. Will we make it through?
Yeah.
It's just grim. People are eating porridge. Everyone has awful hair.
Everyone's Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber hair.
Everyone's got Dumb and Dumber hair.
Everyone's got bowl cuts. Yeah. But everyone's a blacksmith.
Or they tan leather.
Yeah, or a blacksmith's wife. That's the job.
Yeah.
So it's just hitting dong. Everything is just dong.
All the noises. That's it. I think that's really funny.
That's the soundscape. That's
really
the soundscape is just dong. Like that. Everything is squealing. There's just loose pigs in my head. In my head, there's just pigs. It's before It's after the Norman conquest, but it's before the domestication of the pig.
Yeah, fine.
People are battling off wild hogs daily.
Yeah.
Pigs are running around.
There's also there's 15 people in your village,
There's no
and you
toilet.
never leave
And
your
you're
village.
related to all of them?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And there's no toilets.
Yeah.
So the toilets are there's just slop.
Shit everywhere.
There's shit it's like Glastonbury on the last day.
Yeah, it's a lot like Glastonbury.
People have the same haircuts,
There's-
weirdly. People have done their own hair at Glastonbury. All the good bands are played. It's just you're in the healing fields and there's some boring cunt talking about religion. Everyone's
Well, I mean, I was in the healing fields last summer, and there was a blacksmith there.
really
Because they all try and recreate this
Right,
thing.
yeah.
There was literally a
Actually,
blacksmith.
there's one thing I hate more than the Middle Ages. It's people who live now who try and live in the Middle Ages. Fuck me. In medieval village, sewage was typically disposed of in cesspits.
Yeah.
Fuck me. So you have a village pit where
Yeah.
you empty all your shit into.
I think it also is hard to know what was a cesspit and what was your house.
Yes.
Like they'd often, if the light wasn't very good, they'd often get confused with what's a pile of the village's shit and what's my home.
You come back from the ale and you go, oh, I fell into the cesspit again.
I think the tavern would have been quite lit, I reckon. If you're boxed in, start stamping on tables, singing,
Yeah.
I think that could have been quite
So
fun.
people
Drinking mead.
drinking mead. Now
Monks make
my,
mead.
My father-in-law has given us mead.
Right.
He makes mead.
Good.
He makes cider, and at one
I
point
like how
he
you're
makes some
trying to
mead.
work out how to say it, and you're just, yeah.
There's no way of disguising this. My
father-in-law makes mead.
He's made mead, but he's made. I think he's made mead once,
Right.
which is once too many in my mind.
I reckon so.
I think if that happens to you, you
Yeah.
should end your own life. But
There's a reason why mead's not on draft.
I think you should take your own life if you're ever thinking I'm going to make mead today. I think you should kill yourself. But that's
well,
my
you've got
opinion.
nothing else to live for.
I think that's a
You
warning
scrape the
sign.
barrel.
It's a red flag. If you're making your own mead, you need to
Yeah.
check yourself into dignitas. Anyway, the Middle Ages life expectancy was around 30 to 35 years.
Now, I don't know about this stats though, because I think the infant mortality was so high that it keeps that number really low.
Oh, so, okay,
So
so
it wasn't loads of people dying on their 30th birthday.
Right.
It's like if you made it past 10, you'd probably make it to 70. I think.
But what am I? Is it also that people who are 30 look like they're 60? Are people aging that badly?
Oh yeah, you'd look
fucked.
21, you look 60 for sure.
Because this is before athletic greens.
Yes.
This is before
Moisturizer, just basic
supplements.
moisturizer.
This is.
How many times would medieval people bathe? I think you bathe 3 times a year, and you'd wear. Remember the clothes of the average. I imagine the clothes of the peasant is you have one giant piece of fabric,
Yeah.
and maybe
A hole-
scissor,
a hole in it.
and and you got an axe,
Yeah.
and you carve out each bit of clothing you want.
Yes.
So now we go to the shop and you pick out each bit, but instead it'd be like you've got one piece of brown fabric.
And it's like square.
So now let's do
So it's
trousers,
basically-
let's do top,
it's-
and then the hat, you just have like
A bit of. It's like cos,
Yeah.
basically. People look like they're from cos.
Maybe we
Most
should-
people washing their faces and hands regularly, but only taking a full body bath a few times a year.
brilliant. Yeah, so it absolutely stinks.
Everyone stinks. There's a large village cesspit,
Yeah.
which is the toilet,
Right.
which people are just squatting and shitting into.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's loose pigs running around.
Yeah.
People are ugly.
Yeah.
They're dying.
Right.
They're eating porridge.
So how we ended up here, so Western Europe especially is a backwater.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about the Middle Ages like this, but not the rest of the world's not like this. Like Islamic Golden Age is happening. They're just pushing the human civilization further than it's ever been pushed before. It's
Yeah.
like completely different to the Western Europe.
But Rome was the center of.
Rome was the center.
Yeah.
And then in 476 it fell to Asterix and Obelix. Orcs,
Yes, yeah,
basically.
yeah, the orcs,
so barbarians came through,
Yeah.
collapsed, and kind of Western Europe hadn't really properly recovered. It had been on decline for about 200 years before then, so it wasn't like that was the moment. It was at the height, and then
Yeah,
it collapsed then. It'd been kind of shitty for like 200 years.
Bit like
right?
Britain now.
Bit like Britain now.
Yeah.
And Gibbon, who wrote one of the most famous histories, The Rise and...
What does he sound like?
Hello, the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Well, he wrote this in the 1700s, and it was a very controversial history where he basically said the reason why Rome fell is because they adopted Christianity, and Christianity is a soy boy cuck religion.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Blessed are the meek, all that bullshit.
Right.
Right. It's basically, he said it's like slave morality. It's like, it's always about like, it's woke basically.
Woke mind virus.
Yeah. They went woke, they went broke, is he saying. Because
okay,
they used
right.
to be kind of pagan alpha chads where it was about civic virtues.
Yeah.
It was about the power of the will.
Yeah.
Nazis, basically.
Yeah. So the Romans are Nazis, and then they get infected.
And then
with
they
the
have this on, and they start caring about like peasants and poor people and forgiveness and only the rich.
Yeah.
Passing through the eye of the needle, all that shit.
So the Romans are Nazis.
And then all of their civic virtues collapse.
Yes.
So Rome declined so hard from the 2nd century AD to the 6th century AD, the population goes from 1 million to 30,000, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so it goes from Birmingham to Lewis, I don't know.
And is that plague?
No, that's just because it's no longer a centre.
People are leaving
it's collapsing.
So people are fleeing the woke cities.
Yeah, because I think our image I had of the fall of Rome is it's this great citadel, and then the barbarians finally break in, and they destroy all the statues and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's been on decline for years and years. The
statues are
they're already rotting.
Glued on.
Yeah, the council is not picking up trash.
Right.
It already fell 150 years earlier. They got it back.
Right,
but like it really is in a bad way. So then Western Europe is just a backwater, and Britain is a backwater for a backwater.
Yes.
Because even the French are a backwater, but we forget how to draw for 200 years.
Well, there's no art in Britain.
We just forget how to do it.
Yeah.
So the Romans taught us how to draw, and then we forget everything. So not only are we living like we've just described,
pigs,
but you have
slurry, porridge.
You're living under the statues of that the Romans left.
Yeah.
So they're just there.
And you're like, how the fuck do they do that?
How the fuck do they do that? And it was so backward that, the skill of drawing left these isles for a good 200, 300 years.
Right. And when does it come back?
I think it comes back maybe with the Normans and stuff. Or the Saxons. I think the Saxons start bringing it back.
Okay, fine. So are we Celts at this point?
Yes. Britons. The Saxons will start pouring in from like 600. No, probably with the Saxons have started moving in now. Right. Okay.
Sorry. I just reminded me of that.
Let's go back on my Google Doc.
Rome has fallen.
So that's Western Europe.
Rome has fallen. Western Europe.
Backwater. Everyone has got Dumb and Dumber haircut. Western Europe. Now, when Rome fell, it's split into two halves: the Western Roman Empire, which is Western Europe, and the Eastern Roman Empire, which is the whole eastern half of the Roman Empire.
This is the other difficult thing with this is that they're using the map is fucked. Right. Is that the Eastern Roman Empire is what? The Balkans,
Greece, North Africa, Turkey, huge amounts of Turkey, parts of Russia, and that center.
Where's Asia Minor?
Asia Minor is my Google search history.
Yep.
I mean, delete that. Asia Minor is Turkey, right?
But Turkey's also Byzantine.
That's owned by the Byzantines,
right?
At this point, right?
And then Asia, big Asia,
major. Yeah, I don't think they have a major. I think they've only got a minor,
right?
But I guess it makes sense because it's like a little Asia, right?
Yeah,
Turkey. Very good price.
Yes, please, my friend. They're mainly doing haircuts.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yes.
They're singeing off people's eyebrows.
Yeah. They're doing the thing where they're pulling the wax out your nose.
Yeah. Well, this is why. So they're bossing it.
Yeah. So even though Western Rome has fallen,
yes,
Eastern Rome is turned into the Byzantine Empire, which is thriving, which was thriving.
Incense.
Constantinople. So this is Istanbul back then. Biggest city in the world.
Yeah, so this is another thing to say is that the city, the idea of the city hasn't really cottoned on in the West.
Really. In the West, biggest city in the West at this point is probably Paris with 20,000 people.
Yeah, right? So Paris...
Constantinople, I think they could be pushing 1 million.
So Paris in the 1090s is a small toilet, whereas now it's quite a large toilet. Yeah.
So Constantinople, greatest city in the world, centre of all of this. Rome is still the centre of the Pope and the Catholic Church, right? Even though it's not like as powerful at all as it once was, it's still where the Pope lives, right? Yeah. And then in 1054, there's the Great Schism. Do you like that? The Great Schism?
Schism. And this is where the historian of this period schismed from ever getting pussy ever again.
He decided
the separation
to schism from his parallel universe self who might get pussy at some point.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is when the Western and Roman Eastern half of, because they're Christian, right? Yeah. They split. West becomes what is now Catholic, right? Where the centre is Rome and the church.
Pedos.
And that's where that starts. They decide there's a debate over the age of consent.
Yes.
And they're like, Asia Minor, can we fuck it? It's like, no, it's a country.
That's Turkey.
We've tried to explain that to you many times. And then the eastern half becomes the Orthodox Church.
Yes.
Which the center of that is the Patriarch of Constantinople, as opposed to the Pope.
Now, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, I don't really understand.
I don't understand that either. So that is what is the difference is still there today from this moment.
Charlie, can you Google what on
I know
earth?
their crosses look a bit more swag. Have you noticed that their crosses?
They sort of look like Jews. They look like Orthodox Jews a bit.
Yeah.
Because this is pre-Reformation.
Yes,
so they're splitting about Catholicism.
Yeah. And this is, to be honest, it's mainly about what's the center of Christianity. Is it Constantinople or is it
right? So the
Rome?
Catholic Church.
But there is obviously a bit about bread in this, obviously, because it's a split in Christianity. So it's about
the bread.
What do you view the bread as? Which seems to be quite a contentious issue.
Is it a loaf or is it a flatbread?
Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
Yeah.
No, it's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
So the Catholic Church believes that the Pope has supreme authority over the Church, and that he's a successor of St. Peter.
Yep.
Who's the doorman of heaven.
Yep. Who's the bouncer? No, you're not coming in.
No, not coming in, mate. No,
bring some more girls and
not
you
with
can
those
come back
trainers.
in.
It was ladies' night tonight. Right, Orthodox Church, priests can get married. That's the difference.
Okay.
Catholic Church, no marriage, you're nonsin. Orthodox Church, no thanks, we want to get married.
Which feels like early doors, if I could go back in time, I would tell the Catholic Church, let them marry. You can't believe what's going to happen.
You will not believe the consequences of this decision. Charlie, can you Google if there's been any paedophilia scandals in the Orthodox Church?
It says in medieval times there was a lot of paedophile rings.
Yeah, but they didn't give a fuck.
Well, but also the notion of paedophilia in the Middle
Guardian
Ages
didn't exist, so who are you going to tell?
The notion of paedophilia in the Middle Ages is different. When if people are living till 30, your prime years to fuck are until age 10.
It just doesn't have a concept because as soon as you hit puberty, it's fair game.
Yeah.
Do the Russians and the Greeks get on? Because I don't know any other Orthodox countries, or maybe parts of Eastern Europe. Do you know what I mean?
Serbia, Balkans are all.
So all for former Soviet states, right? They're kind of orthodoxy.
I don't fucking anyway.
Because it doesn't feel like the Greeks and the Russians hang out in a way that they probably should.
No, because the Greeks don't hang out. The Greeks like come to mine, and Russians are like no, and they're like, oh well, I sit here, I sit on a chair.
Right, brilliant. So that's the difference between Roman and Western Europe.
So the Great Schism happens in 1054. The churches separate.
Also at this time, because we don't really learn about it because it's not as relevant to us. But at this time, the Muslims are absolutely killing it. Right. And even though Christianity's been around quite a lot longer, the expansion of the Muslim empire is like unprecedented. Yeah. Out of the deserts of Arabia, this guy called Muhammad
they're
creates
fleeing
Islam.
Syria and they're going to Germany. Merkel's letting them in.
Yeah.
They're going into Cologne. Yeah.
Muhammad comes out of the deserts of Arabia and he's already like I didn't realize he's like a military commander. Like when people say like Islam's the religion of peace, it's been bloodshed from the get-go.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like Jesus, he was all like peace and love, man. But Muhammad was like was fucking chopping people's heads off.
Jesus was a hippie.
Yeah.
Muhammad was like a weightlifter.
Yeah,
basically.
he was a Chad. And they create, I think, the fourth biggest empire in the whole of human history in about 150 years, the Arabic Caliphate, right? Yeah. With some of the best generals and commanders the world's ever seen. Like this guy, Khalid ibn al-Walid. We've never heard of him, but he's like Napoleon level.
Right.
Great. I feel he's like Mohammed Salah, where it's like, he's obviously one of the Prem greats, but he maybe doesn't get his flowers because we struggle to like view an Arabic footballer in the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
do you know if he was Spanish or Brazilian? I think maybe we'd give him a bit more.
Yeah.
So this guy, no one ever heard about him, but his numbers are like unreal.
So and this is a guy.
So this is Mohammed Salah.
So he comes out of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is early Arabic Caliphate where it's swirling out of Arabia, but it takes over all of North Africa. It takes over huge swathes of land. It also takes over Spain. Yeah. And it almost takes France. 130 years after Muhammad.
Wow.
They reach France.
They get that far.
And they only get defeated at the Battle of Tours.
Which is Romans. The Romans.
Which is, the French. So this is these guys.
The French won a fight?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Well, actually, technically, French have won more wars than anyone in human history. Their numbers are actually the best.
I don't believe that.
I didn't think so. No. And that's like racist French politicians will bring up the Battle of Tours.
England top, German next.
Right.
And then, I don't fucking know.
That is but they went that far and they only got beat back at the Battle of Tours. And they kept Spain till like the Reconquista, which was like 1200s.
Reconquista. Yeah.
So Islam are killing it. Baghdad is the center of all human flourishing in the world. It's very different to it now, but it's the greatest city in the world, probably. That or Constantinople.
Ironically, they do have weapons of mass destruction in the 8th century.
But that's like an abacus.
That's just a big fucking crane with a ball on it.
Yeah.
It's a wrecking ball.
So they invent algebra, the decimal system, trigonometry they invent.
Yeah.
the podcast.
They start the podcast.
They start the
Trigonometry.
podcast Trigonometry.
Francis Foster is a early Muslim caliph.
Which is ironic because I think those guys think Islam is destroying the West, but they are using an Islamic concept, right? They're very hygienic. They have like lots of bathhouses. Couldn't be more different from Western Europe at this point. So they've been killing it for like 400 years. Then due to some succession crises, the empire's too big. They kind of start breaking apart. The Sunni and Shiite differences start coming. Right?
What's going on here?
I don't know a lot. I try to work out. Every time I try to work out, it makes no sense to me. Basically, the Shiites believe that Islamic leadership comes from Muhammad's bloodline. They believe in the power of the Nepo baby.
Yes.
Right? Imams, like popes, have an infallible interpretation of the Quran. Right? So it's quite a lot like the Catholic Church, I guess.
Yes.
In some ways.
Yes.
Where you're kind of trying to keep it on Muhammad's bloodline. Then Sunnis believe it should be decided by a council, and revelation comes from the study of the Quran.
Rather than the Quran.
Study of what? Well, studying the Quran is the Quran, right?
But what did they just say? Sorry, I think I got bored while you were talking.
I thought so. Yeah. Right. So out of this power vacuum from Central Asia, right, come the Seljuk Turks, who end up being the Turks we know and love today.
So Seljuk is what a Turk is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
it's a type of Turk, I guess.
Yeah, how many types of Turk are there?
I don't know.
You've got Bossman, you've got Barber, you've got Bathhouse,
and you've got Seljuk.
Seljuk.
Yeah, and they start taking all of Byzantium's land in Asia Minor. They start conquering Turkey.
Very good price.
Yes. Yeah. They start turning Turkey into very good price.
Right. Okay.
So actually, Turkey at this point is kind of Chad Greeks. Right,
which again is a concept I just cannot imagine. I can't imagine an Alpha Greek.
But now it's been taken over by guys with big monobrows.
Is this an Alpha Greek that's sat in a slightly higher chair?
Yeah, it's a higher chair. Right, the posture's better. Yeah. Remember, this is 1,000 years ago, so they haven't fully fallen into the plastic chair.
They haven't reclined yet. Yeah.
But basically, they start taking all of Byzantium's land in Asia Minor in Turkey. Mm-hmm. So the head of Byzantium, Alexios I, is like, this is fucking terrifying. They're going to come for Constantinople. He calls on his brothers in the West, saying, I need help. I know we schismed, but we're both Christians. Let's kick the muzzies out, basically, is what he's saying. Right. And then Pope Urban II, who loves hip hop, that's why he called himself that.
Well, Urban, of course, he's a black pope.
Yeah.
He's
the second black pope.
It's dog whistle language, but he's a hey man. Yeah. Let's get a crusade.
Yeah,
man.
His name was just David, but everyone called him Pope Urban.
Oh, that's the Urban Pope, and everyone was like, "Come on, guys,
easy now."
Again, this is the Middle Ages, so people are not as enlightened as today. Yeah, he's a Pope of color. Right. Hey, man, I want to get a crusade together.
Yeah.
He calls a meeting in Clermont.
He's got a big fur coat. He's got
a big wide brimmed hat. Hey, Pope look after you, baby. Hey, baby. So he's a pimp.
He's a pimp. Scroll down,
yeah,
Charlie.
He's a pimp. So Alexios, the boss man in Constantinople, is like, please, my friend.
Shit, man.
My friend, so he's scared of the Muslims, but is he Muslim? No, he's Greek Orthodox.
Yeah.
So he's like, please, my friend, the Muslims are coming.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, baby, don't worry about it, baby. Coochie man, I got your back, baby. Hey.
I couldn't put it better myself, Finn.
Yeah. So I think he says that at Clermont. He goes, now listen here. He goes, now listen here. He gets up on the mic.
Well, I've been trying to find my notes. I haven't responded, and all I've heard is you doing a 70s pimp accent.
The problem is,
and I'm trying to get the next bullet point, and because it's not coming, the
problem
you've just been let to go.
The problem is,
I haven't even looked at you. Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
The problem is, if Charlie's struggling to find the timeline, it leaves a vacuum for my accents to come into
I'm like, Charlie!
Hey, baby. Hey. Urban,
it's going to get worse.
Urban, look after you, baby. Please, the Coochie Man here. So Pope Urban is also known as the Coochie Man.
Yeah,
right?
the Coochie Man, right.
The Coochie Man. And he's...
and he delivers his famous speech in 1095 from the Council of Clermont, where he calls for the First Crusade. They don't know what a crusade is at this point. This is the big first ever crusade.
I want to launch a crusade on these Muslim motherfuckers. That's what he says.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He gets everyone G'd up, because it's disparate states, but they've never really united as Christendom.
No.
Right? And then because this is a huge undertaking, it's going to take like a year to set up, obviously. You can't just go straight away.
No.
Right? Apart from this one guy, an insane homeless guy called Peter the Hermit, right?
Yeah, now why is he called Peter the Hermit?
He lives in a cave.
Right, okay.
Right. So have you ever been outside Camden Station? You know those kind of, you know the homeless guys dancing to techno?
Fuck, that's what the Middle Ages are. It's Camden. That's why I hate it. It's awful. It's just Spanish people smoking weed in a market. That's what this is. Then it smells of shit.
Yeah. Right.
And,
so
God.
I love Peter the Hermit. Let's get a picture of him.
Right.
So just like a truly mad homeless guy
Yeah.
who lived in a cave.
Yeah.
He's heard the call to arms from Urban II, right? And he says to all his peasant followers,
hey, baby.
So even for a stupid period of time, right?
Yeah.
These guys, him and his followers, right?
Yeah.
This is stupid within stupid.
Right.
They don't have a brain cell
So
between
he's
them.
stupid for the very stupid times.
Yeah, so even for this times, he's thick. He comes out and says, let's fucking go early, right?
Yeah,
let's go now. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it, let's go now. And all the thick peasants are like, fucking yeah.
We'll do it live.
We'll go
it's
now.
that guy.
Yeah, it's literally that. It's basically like you want to arrive Glastonbury on the Wednesday, so you get a good camping spot. It's early bird.
But he's dropping E's on the Wednesday night.
He
fucks it. He just completely fucks it.
He misses the whole festival.
Misses the entire festival. Wakes up in a cesspit on the Sunday. And goes, oh fuck! What?
Right. So he gets he G's up loads of followers, kind of like a Pied Piper figure. This guy, right? 60,000 peasants, right? So the crusade involves knights, women, children.
Where is he? Is he French?
He's French or German. It's around that area, but these countries don't really exist at this point in the way that we'd know them. So he's from one of the European interstates, right? Where's he from?
We can probably bet
France. He's French.
Quite
he's
highly.
a stinky Frenchman.
It's smelly. He's from a smelly place.
Right.
Yeah.
So they decide to go early. They've got 60,000 people. They haven't really planned. That's kind of the whole point.
Yeah.
They've gone through Germany, and by the time... So Germany's not that far from France.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah.
They run out of food and money in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of Jews who live in Germany. What could possibly go wrong?
I have to say, and this, I don't mean this to sound anti-Semitic, but this is one of my favourite bits of the story. because Huggy Bear, or whatever he's called, the Pope, has gone, hey, baby, let's get a crusade to go down and fucking get the Muslims.
Yeah.
And then these guys are like, Muslims? Yeah, well, they'll do. And then they just start massacring Jews.
But what it is you're passing through Jewish towns and you're like, well, I guess we can bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
They've got lots of food. They're not Muslims.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then one of the worst Jewish massacres happens in the Rhineland.
Well, not the worst that the Rhineland will ever see.
No, but one of them, I said.
But it's good to know that it is a German problem.
Arguably a warning sign.
Yeah. Well, I guess it starts here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is where is this the first Jewish pogrom?
Do you know what? I bet
Probably
it's not
not.
even close.
Probably not.
I bet it's every time I'm reading about a bit of history that I find interesting, there will be one bullet point saying, "Oh, and they massacred the Jews," as like a throwaway.
But that
thing.
is because you're reading the things you find interesting are when the Jews got massacred. Yeah, so
The history of Jewish massacres.
The history of Jewish massacres.
What? There's a lot of Jews getting massacred
Very
in this.
interesting part of history. This.
The history of pogroms.
Yeah. Basically it's kind of a stag do that this guy has raised,
Yes.
and it's like let's all go on a massive bender.
They're football hooligans.
Yeah.
It's
England. England are playing away. England are playing away.
Flare up your ass.
Yeah.
It's coming home. Jerusalem's coming home. That is like.
And they start marching from France.
So they got the food from all the Jews they've killed.
Yeah.
Then they go through, all the other countries, and they arrive at Constantinople.
Yeah.
They've never seen anything like this before in their life. They've all come from villages. They've seen these huge walls.
Yeah.
Right. And while they're waiting, because crossing the Bosphorus is very hard. That's like that. You need the king of Constantinople to get you across the Bosphorus. Is that
Bosphorus is a bit of water that separates Turkey
from Europe.
Bosmanphorus. So
and across the Bosmanphorus.
Yeah. So the Bosphorus is between Bosman, which is Turkey, and the forests.
So across the Bosmanphorus is enemy territory.
Yeah.
Because the Seljuk Turks have taken all of Turkey. So that's kind of the line where it really starts.
Yeah.
Okay. They're all waiting. 60,000 of the stinkiest, thickest peasants. I don't think you have horses, any of them.
They've eaten the horses.
They've eaten the horses, right.
They've got flares up their arse. They're in Leicester Square.
Yeah.
It's coming home.
Yeah. They're chucking chairs. Literally, there's reports. He's trying to get them across the Bosphorus as quick as possible because they're stealing roof tiles.
Yeah.
They're waiting there.
Gypsies, essentially.
Literally.
They're England football hooligans, gypsies.
You can't lead them anywhere because they're just literally like, fuck it.
Yeah.
They're
Taking
like
the
a
copper
swarm of
wiring out of
locusts.
stuff. Yeah.
They ferried across the Bosphorus. They arrive finally in Asia Minor. They get it there. They can't believe it. This is awesome. They start have a massive piss up. They're dancing. This is fucking sick.
Oh, they are just kind of drunk and disorderly the whole time,
yeah.
right? But even though that's the whole point is that it's meant to be a religious crusade. Yeah.
You cannot believe how thick these people are.
Right, yeah.
You can't even comprehend it, right?
Yeah.
They finally get there. Like, I don't know what their plan was. They don't know. They have no idea what the Middle East looks like. They had no idea there were cities like this.
They just got a 10-pack of cans. That's all
you
they've got.
can't look up Google Maps. They have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
They've just heard someone say, we better go there. We're going to go in a year. No, let's fucking go now.
Let's go now. Yeah. Right.
They have a massive piss up, right? And then the Seljuk Turks, who are great horse riders.
Sorry, a medieval English accent, depending on the time period, would sound a lot like a typical American accent that's East Coast.
Do you not know about
you're
this?
saying...
Do you not know about this? Because it's actually quite interesting when people say
New York?
When people say that Americans don't speak properly, they actually speak closer to original English than us.
Well, I'm walking here.
Yeah, that's
I'm walking here. It's the People's Crusade.
So it's not like
Hey.
New Jersey guys were in the People's Crusade, right?
Right. So the mafia, basically...
That's what everyone sounds like.
The gypsy mafia on a stag do.
It's kind of Cornish American.
Christ.
I'm walking here.
I'm walking here. Get out of my way. I'm walking here.
But there's not a lot of English people in this because
You never heard that fucking plane flew into that fucking tower. Look at that. Oh, there's another one. Oh my word. Two planes just flown into...
a combine harvester can fly.
I think if 9/11 had happened in Cornwall,
Right.
people would not give a shit about it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, they're 9/11. Do you know the Cornish terrorists who want Cornish independence?
The separatists.
Yeah, do you know about them?
Well, I don't know. I think if you're going to tell me they've done a 9/11, I don't know about this.
Well, they're 9/11. It's a smaller scale.
Oh, right. Someone threw a pasty against a horse.
It's not too far. They blew up a Rick Steins.
Did they?
Yeah.
Genuinely?
Yeah.
They blew up a Rick Steins?
Yeah, I mean, there's only 15 of them.
Cornish terror group burns Rick Steins restaurant and has first
suicide bomber.
What? When was this?
A separatist group calling for Cornish independence has claimed responsibility for firebombing a restaurant and claims it has its first member willing to die for the cause.
You can't call someone a suicide bomber if they're willing to do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Fuck it, I'll do it. That's not a suicide bomber. A suicide bomber is evaporated.
Yeah. So talking about suicide bombers, we're in the Middle East.
Sorry. Yeah. When in Rome.
Right, so they got there. They got absolute pissed.
Yeah.
They're dancing around. They're doing sailor
lifting
shanties.
chairs.
And then the Seljuk Turks are just kind of watching them, saying, "Is this the fucking?
Is this it?
Are
Yeah.
these the guys that we're meant to be scared about?" And they're like, they're kind of like Mongol riders. They're like horseback, curved blades. That's the sort of style.
The Turks. Well,
yeah,
they're nomads, aren't they?
Yes.
So when
writers.
So when I was awake for about 10 minutes during this podcast,
Yeah.
the thing I picked up was that the Turks are nomads, which means they're better at war than the Crusaders.
Different types of war.
Different types of war.
They're like cavalry.
Yeah.
But then the Crusaders are like juggernauts.
Right.
They're huge, much taller, wear giant bodies of armor because we've got lots more steel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we just sort of stand there like, ugh,
Yeah.
and they're
grunting.
really fast, but both are good in different ways, right?
Right.
But they completely massacre basically everyone.
So the stag
on
do
the
gets complete-
first night. They
Right.
get across after
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
The first night,
The Turks
they're like passed out, hungover, and they just go through the camp, chopping people's heads off, massacre them.
And Urban hears about this and goes, shit. Oh, shit. Your Holiness, the stag to the People's Crusade has been massacred. Oh, hell no.
Well, I think he's like, well, yeah. I said wait.
I said, wait, baby, you should have waited with me. I look after you, sugar. Sugar plum. The coochie man will get you good. So he's
Charlie, let's go.
So Hoochie Coochie Man is like, yeah, baby, you come with me. Right. So he then
Somehow Peter the Hermit survives, by the way.
What?
And he comes
Oh,
back.
not this cunt again.
He comes back in the story, which is what I love about Peter
Oh,
the Hermit. I don't know how this guy who's basically walked 50,000 people to their death,
So hang on,
somehow he escaped.
He's responsible for pretty much all the death on the Crusader side.
But somehow he survives.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So hang on. So where are we in the timeline? This is
1096, 1095.
The actual crusade that urban as like...
It's about a year later.
Yeah, so it's August 96 they leave.
Yeah.
Because they've got a lot of...
Wasn't that when the Euros were on?
They've got, 1996.
So
of course. So Gaza
to
scores.
place it.
Yeah. So it's as Gaza knocks it over Colin Andrews' head, smacks it past Andy Gorham.
They did have the same as the haircut.
The same haircut. The Scottish team have the same haircut.
1096 and 1996.
The Euro 96 Scottish team's lids are phenomenally bad.
Do you want to see it?
I reckon.
So I reckon it's pretty similar to the Crusaders 1096 lids.
If you could Google image, Charlie, Andy Gorham and Jim Leighton, this is Scotland's number 1 and 2 in the 90s. They are, I think, possibly the ugliest goalkeeping pairing any team's ever had.
Now, we do throw this around a lot.
Yeah. But then we keep bringing ugly people into the podcast. That's why. Where's Andy Gorham? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
look at
it's
this
that
fucker.
sort of...
Look at this fucker. Yeah.
So they've got the same hair.
That's a Crusader. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 years, the lids have not changed.
That's basically a Neanderthal man.
Right.
Yeah. Scotland had the first Neanderthal goalkeeper, and he was called Andy Gorham. God, look at him. So the People's Crusaders, the mad stag do jippos that flood Constantinople and massacred straight away. Yeah. And then the Pope's like, God, baby, baby, you should stay with me. And then you get the Prince's Crusade, which is the actual crusade, where actual knights. But this is my point. Why is it taking a year for them? Because what fucking affairs are they tying up? They've got to tie up some pigs. They've got to do some more shits in a hole. Like what? What are they? What affairs are they tying up? Oh,
but also you said they're saying goodbye to their wife and children. Nah, they're coming.
What?
The wife and kids all came along.
What's the fucking point of going on a stag do if your wife and kids are coming?
And they send them away at some point because they're too bad vibes.
They're like, you're really negging us out.
But it's everyone goes.
Right.
And it's led by, now you actually get some smartish people. You get some of the knights, right? And some of the different leaders. So the big 4 leaders of the main Crusader army are Godfrey of Blouon, Bohemond, Raymond, and Baldwin.
Right,
Raymond, Baldwin, Bohemond, and Godfrey.
So the heroes in this story are called Godfrey, Raymond,
Baldwin, and Bohemond.
Alec Baldwin. Is
Alec Baldwin is leading the Crusades, right?
Yeah.
So they have this big army. It's a lot better prepared. There's some actual talent in there. They now reach Constantinople, and there's a bit of tension between the Byzantines and the Crusaders because the Byzantines they're quite like, I want to say fruity, and they look down at these kind of hicks, basically. Yeah. Even though these are not as stinky as the People's Crusade.
Well, Constantinople presumably is full of like fresh produce, avocados, oranges, pomegranates, dates.
And then the newest fashions. Everyone's kind of.
These guys have really
they're drinking wine.
These guys have got porridge, basically.
Yes.
It's basically porridge thrown into a wine bar.
But there's still a lot of like the Western Roman Empire. Western Europe still likes to think that they're better than Eastern Europe. So they're basically calling them pussies.
Right.
And they're saying like, that's basically it.
Yeah. Even
though they're kind of, like, they go in the throne room and one of the knights just sits in the emperor's chair and is like,
think you're the big man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of this stuff. They're like burping and farting. Yeah. It's all that sort of shit.
This is Assassin's Creed, isn't it?
That's when it starts. So that's in the Crusader states that happen after the First Crusade.
Oh, right, okay. I played Assassin's Creed. Yeah. I like Assassin's Creed.
So you got that sort of vibe is what it ends up being.
Right, okay, fine.
And they look like England football fans. They got red crosses. I mean,
that's true, actually.
Literally, England football fans now dress up as Crusaders.
And the cricket and stuff, they dress up as knights. So are they marching in chainmail to the hottest place on the planet?
Yeah.
Right.
They got horses, they got carts, but I imagine they take the chainmail off and put it in the cart and push that. Yeah. I don't know if they're doing the whole way because that's like an Iron Man, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
It's like an Iron Man every day. Every single day on Crusade is an Iron Man.
This is why it's boring, is that it's basically just listening to Stephen Bartlett for 8 months, hearing about some cunt doing an Iron Man.
But the reason why a lot of these people are going as well is because life is so shit.
Yes.
And you're promised, especially, this is quite a more Catholic idea in general, but it's like the deeds you do here on earth is what gets you into heaven, right?
Baby.
So it's penance.
Is it
penance?
Go on this crusade, baby. I'll look after you.
I'll get you into heaven.
I'll look after you, baby.
The best nightclub in the world, heaven.
Hey, Coochie Man will look after you. Yeah. He's got your back in the afterlife. Exactly. That's what he's saying.
He'll get you in guest list.
Yeah. Just one more.
And I guess like it does sound awful, but if you're living in, I don't know, a shit village, you probably would go on crusade. Why the fuck not? Well, if you die, it's better than being alive.
It's true. You're going to die anyway.
And you might as well like solidify your place in heaven.
Animals played an important role in the First Crusade, both as beasts of burden
and in symbolic ways.
These animals include horses, lions, leopards. Leopards? Where the fuck have they got leopards? So it's basically a circus.
I can't even comprehend what it looked like. The rabble.
And this is moving through. I mean, how are they moving? Are they on?
So now
boats?
they cross the Bosphorus. There's the siege of Nicaea that's quite boring. They just siege a city.
And that's you saying that.
Yeah, that's me saying that.
Yeah.
And then the first interesting thing happens is the Battle of Dorylaeum in 1097, which we will discuss in the next part.
So if you,
so I'm saving the first interesting piece of information for the next part.
Fuck me. So if you can't wait to hear how the most boring crusade carries on, that episode is already on our Patreon. For £3 a month, you can become a truther. And you get a bonus episode every week.
What's Charlie just pulled up?
Charlie's
there?
just put up something about sodomy on the thing.
What's the scoop on all the sodomy in the Crusades? By modern or contemporaneous definition, sodomy wasn't a big deal in the Crusades.
Right, Charlie, I think we need to have an issue in the break about you bringing porn into the screen.
Right, we might have a halftime team talk.
Yeah, about Charlie Googling sodomy.
He's on a yellow. We're going to stop him off. This has happened.
Sign up to Patreon for part 2. But either way, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.